The Young Prime Minister of the Wind. Chapter 1 The Young Prime Minister. It was a chilly spring day, and outside the imperial capital of Jinling, a drizzle fell. Inside the court, a dazzling display of gold and jade shone, and the ministers stood in a solemn atmosphere. Prime Minister Yu Chengqian, the youngest of the highest ranks, dressed in a green robe and jade belt, stood before all the officials. His features were picturesque, his expression serene and cool, a true prodigy among men. It was known throughout the court that Yu Chengqian had solved the mystery of Great Yan's western border at the age of 15, suppressed the rebellion of the 7 princes at 17, and was appointed Prime Minister at 19, a position second only to the Emperor and surpassing all others. However, just when he was in the limelight, the Ying family case broke out. The Ying family, a family of loyal and valiant officials for 4 generations, was accused of treason and imprisoned overnight. The court was shaken and the world sighed. Chapter 2 Falling into Prison. Ying Jinyu, the eldest lady of the Ying family, has always been known as the Jinling Fairy, and she is proficient in piano, chess, calligraphy, and painting, and she has not yet been allowed to marry, but she was imprisoned in heaven because of her family crimes. It is rumored that she fasted for 3 days in prison, and although she described herself as a dry straw, she still did not lose her style. The only remaining property of the Ying family was used to bribe the jailer, just to pass a letter to Yu Chengqian. Jinyu is willing to serve as a slave and maid, and only asks the Prime Minister to restore the innocence of the Ying family. Yu Chengqian stared at the fine print on the paper and remained silent for a long time. He had no personal connection with the Ying family, but he had known Ying Jinyu for a long time. The woman, with her beauty like clouds and mist, a white lotus in the snow, was willing to be a maid, which was very touching. Chapter 3 The undercurrent is turbulent. Yu Chengqian remained calm, yet within the court, he secretly investigated the Ying family case. Clues gradually emerged, all pointing to the remnants of the Three Kings party framing loyal officials. In the middle of the night, he and a group of trusted aides secretly visited former members of the Ying family and penetrated the Dali Temple prison, where they personally met Jinyu. In her cell, her hair disheveled, her eyes gleaming. Upon seeing him enter, she knelt and refused to rise. Prime Minister, the Ying family is innocent. Jinyu is willing to pay the price, never to question my past or my honor again. Yu Chengqian said, I am investigating this case, not for your own selfish reasons. If the Ying family is innocent, we will redeem them, if they are guilty, I will not protect them. She smiled and tears fell. That smile actually made his heart move. Chapter 4 The Phantom Mystery Game. The deeper the investigation, the more bizarre the truth. Yu Chengqian is shocked to discover that forbidden magic is involved. According to spies, the imperial envoy Chu Liang is secretly colluding with a sorcerer from southern Xinjiang, attempting to use sorcery to disrupt the foundations of Great Yan. Prime Minister Ying, having discovered this, was silenced. Yu Chengqian entered the Chu mansion at night and found a forbidden spell array in the secret room, as well as a scroll full of ancient witchcraft words. The beginning of the book prominently records the words of a deceased witch. On the day of the blood sacrifice, the phoenix star fell, and the Great Yan was destroyed. What's even more terrifying is that Yu Chengqian was surprised to see that his childhood memories had also been tampered with by witchcraft, and his adoptive father turned out to be a stand-in installed in the court. Chapter 5 No regrets about falling into the child. Overnight, a storm erupted. Yu Chengqian secretly reported to the emperor, exposing Chu Liang's conspiracy with Nanjiang, but was falsely accused of collaborating with the enemy. He was dismissed and exiled to the border. Before leaving, Jinyu was willing to go with him. Prime Minister, if you are innocent, I will trust you for the rest of my life. The border was cold and miserable, and they were displaced, but they were also in the dust and sand, walking side by side. Jinyu made a living from herbal medicine, while Yu Chengqian wrote books and articles, secretly contacting the old department and waiting for the time to make a comeback. That night, the sky was full of stars, and Jinyu leaned on his shoulder and asked, if the world is bright again, are you still willing to be that Prime Minister again? Yu Chengqian whispered, if you are willing to follow me, why fear entering the hell of the court again? underscore 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 un. Chapter 6 The Imperial City is rekindled. 3 years later, chaos ensued in southern Xinjiang, and the poison of witchcraft spread to the central plains. The emperor fell gravely ill, and Chu Liang seized power, dividing the territory and causing unrest throughout the country. Yu Chengqian, leading loyal officials and righteous men, returned from the frontier and published a book, Feng Ji Wen Zy, revealing the truth about the remnants of the Three Kings Party and Chu Liang's rebellion. The court was shocked, and the people burned incense in their welcome. Ultimately, Chu Liang was defeated and burned himself to death. Before his death, the emperor granted Yu Chengqian the position of prime minister again, to pacify the region. He read out the imperial edict exonerating the Ying family in the imperial court and personally erected a monument to Prime Minister Ying. Thousands of people in the capital knelt in worship, and Ying Jinyu stood beside him, tears welling in his eyes. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 7 The Return of the World. After peace was restored under heaven, Yu Chengqian resigned from his position as prime minister, handed over the power of the court to a wise man, and asked to travel far away. Ying Jinyu went to the mountains and forests of Yunnan with him, and in the green mountains and green waters, he planted medicine for the fields and practiced medicine to help the world. A village boy asked, "Sir, you were once a high-ranking official in the imperial court. Why did you choose to live in seclusion?" He just smiled, "It's enough to have one heart." Jinyu came with tea, wearing a white dress and a simple white skirt, just like the figure in the prison that year, but there was more peace and light in her eyes. Chapter 8 A Thousand Miles of Dreams. Yunmen's in southern Xinjiang, the spring breeze is mighty. In the 7th year of Yu Chengqian and Ying Jinyu's seclusion, he had a startling dream. He dreamed of the imperial city ablaze, blood flowing beneath the throne like a river, and a white-haired young man in the court, angrily pointing fingers at the ministers and shouting that the dead souls had not yet been liberated. When he awoke, Jinyu was still sleeping soundly on the couch. He dared not disturb her, and sat quietly by the window until dawn. The next day, a villager from the mountain arrived with a carrier pigeon and a secret letter. The letter, from Huokong, a former subordinate, warned that the new emperor had ascended the throne less than 3 months earlier, and the political situation was already fraught with danger. The Khitan in the north, under the guise of offering sacrifices to heaven, were invading the south. The new emperor neglected government affairs, leaving powerful ministers in power and causing unrest among the people. What is even more alarming is that the forbidden traces of witchcraft have reappeared in the palace, and the forbidden array is almost the same as what Chu Wuxian used 7 years ago. Yu Chengqian frowned and said, 7 years have been too long, and the evil fire has started again. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 9 The Battle of the Dragon's Head. In order to investigate the roots of witchcraft, Yu Chengqian and Jinyu changed their names again and infiltrated Jiangyi. They worshipped the troop as a cover, wandered around the market, and gradually inquired. Soon, it was learned that the palace had a new favorite concubine, Sini, of mysterious origin. She was accompanied by black-clad attendants whenever she entered or left the palace. On full moon nights, the East Palace was illuminated, as if a secret ceremony was taking place. The current young emperor, Li Muchen, was only 15 years old and had yet to take power. In reality, all state affairs fell into the hands of the Minister of the Central Secretariat, Xian Xuan. Xian Xuan, once a subordinate of Chu Liang, was pardoned and, after years of exile in the northern wilderness, mysteriously returned to the court and now held supreme power. Yu Chengqian and Jinyu took the pseudonyms Yanqing and Baiya, and gradually approached the secret servants of the Eastern Palace, intending to explore the truth. During this time, Jinyu also met an old acquaintance, the jailer Duan Chonggong, who had already lurked as an intelligence agent and secretly assisted them. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 10 The Soul Fire is rekindled. Sneaking into the Eastern Palace at night, the two finally witnessed the witchcraft ritual. In the shadows, Sini danced barefoot, amidst the lingering smoke of incense and surrounded by bone-burning ceremonials. The emperor, trapped at the center of a secret altar, his throat sealed with a secret technique, rendered speechless. Yu Chengqian was shocked to realize that this wasn't witchcraft, but soul fire life extension, a forbidden and unholy technique that shifted destiny to someone else. Sini plotted to seize the emperor's mandate and establish herself, while Xian Xuan protected her. As the two escaped danger, Yu Chengqian was injured by the burning array, leaving a strange black mark on his arm. That night, Jinyu administered acupuncture to detoxify him, nearly exhausting his vital energy. The two briefly shared a heartfelt moment while unconscious. I once said that I have no regrets in this life, but if you die before me, I will blame you. He chuckled, if I die, you will judge the case for me. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 11. The end begins. After recovering from his injuries, Yu Chengqian resolved to gather his former subordinates and rise in rebellion. His purpose was not to rebel, but to purge the imperial court and stop the chaos. Former ministers Huokong, Duan Chonggong, and Northern General Chu Mo all responded to the call. Jinyu, meanwhile, reclaimed the Ying family title and issued the 9 articles of the Qing Code, declaring witchcraft a disaster and the abuse of power by powerful officials, leaving the people in dire straits. The capital was shaken, and the people responded, and yellow paper was posted all over the streets. Furious, Xian Qian ordered Sini to lead his secret guards to apprehend the rebels. Little did he know, the emperor had been secretly rescued and taken to the imperial ancestral temple by the eunuch Shen Yizhu for safety. A palace coup finally erupted on the eve of Qingming festival. Swords clashed, blood splattered across the palace. Yu Chengqian ascended the throne room again, confronting Xian Qian and Sini. He held a scroll in his left hand and a burning array in his right. During the confrontation, the people poured into the palace, and the officials voluntarily gave way. The young emperor entered the courtroom, his first words, Prime Minister, do I still trust you? Yu Chengqian knelt and replied, I have no second thoughts. I wish to restore the way of life to the common people. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 12. The Fireworks World. 3 months later, Great Yan restructured its legal code and eradicated witchcraft. Xian Qian was exiled to the frontier, and Sini was burned at the altar, severing her bloodline. The emperor reappointed Yu Chengqian as junior tutor, no longer granting him the position of sole prime minister, in order to preserve his reputation and provide a path for his retirement. With the court stable, Jinyu quietly handed in her resignation one day, I wish to practice medicine in Lingnan, continuing the Ying family's legacy of benevolence. Yu Chengqian remained silent, offering her a sealed sachet, if we meet again, remember my name. Years later, in a small town in Lingnan, a scholar buying medicine saw a woman in a courtyard, dressed in white as snow, the sound of a zither flowing like water by the window. Someone asked her name, and she smiled and replied, Ying, Jinyu, and my husband was the young and dashing prime minister of yesteryear. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 13. The Spark Alliance. Dian was just pacified, and the situation in the court was still unstable. Yu Chengqian declined real power and retired to the Qingga, where he implemented new laws and rectified the bureaucracy. He initiated the formation of the Spark Alliance, a group of talented young people seeking to promote open communication. The alliance included many rising stars, such as the scholar Shen Xingli from Yuzhu, the swordsman Mo Linfen, and the female physician Gu Kaiqing. Each held their own aspirations and worked together for a bright and peaceful world. One day, Mo Linfen said, if you don't establish a family background, I'm afraid your reputation will be in jeopardy. Yu Chengqian smiled faintly, I don't need a family background, leaving my name in history is enough. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 14. Against the Current. 2 years have passed, and Ying Jinyu's name has gradually gained prestige in the southern border. She set up a museum in Lingnan to teach, pass on medical skills to the people, and help the world. Yu Chengqian frequently sent carrier pigeons to communicate, his words plain but full of hidden affection. One day, just as the heavy rain had subsided, urgent news arrived from the capital, the northern barbarians had rebelled again, and the border general Li Mu had been killed in battle, making the situation critical. The Spark Alliance elected Yu Chengqian to go to war. Before leaving, he gazed at the mountains outside the capital and said, the chaotic times have ended, but if there are still those who feel injustice, they must still take up their swords. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 15. The Clouds Rise in Lingnan. During the northern expedition, Yu Chengqian was surrounded and trapped by the barbarian army. When he was injured and on the verge of death, a mysterious man rescued him from the forest. That person was actually Ying Jinyu. When she heard the news of the northern expedition, she abandoned the medical center and went to the border to heal his bones. After a few months of traveling, old feelings were rekindled. One night, a cold, snowy night unfolded. Jinyu was sewing by the fire when Cheng Qian suddenly said, "If the war ends, I'd like to return to Lingnan and grow tea and flowers with you. Is that okay?" Jinyu smiled, "But you're not one for the idle wandering world. Chapter 16 Chang'an Snow Falls. The northern expedition was a great victory, and Yu Chengqian returned triumphantly. However, the political situation at court shifted slightly. The young emperor, growing more mature, sought to shed the shadow of his old ministers and grew wary of the Spark alliance. Yu Chengqian, perceiving the situation, voluntarily resigned his position as junior tutor, retaining only the title of minister of the imperial court and retreating to a more remote corner of the country. He and Jinyu set up a small residence outside the capital, where they discussed local studies with old acquaintances like Gu Kaiking. Contemporaries mocked him for dismissing his position as prime minister, but he said calmly, "A powerful man may command thousands of troops, but he cannot possess a pure and tranquil heart." Chapter 17 The Eternal Night is Not Chilling. 15 years later. The great Yan state was peaceful and prosperous. The new emperor took power and posthumously conferred the title of Duke Wen Zhao Dingguo on Yu Chengqian, and made Kicking Pavilion the highest academic institution in the state of Yan. In the winter of that year, the snow in the capital had not yet melted, and a small epidemic broke out. Yu Chengqian and Jinyu personally went to the epidemic area and worked day and night to save people. Later, he died of an epidemic at the age of 50. The common people escorted his coffin thousands of miles away, spontaneously donning mourning robes, and the streets of Beijing were deserted. Ying Jinyu guarded the tomb for 3 years before also passing away. The two were buried together in Plum Blossom Village. Legend has it that every year on the winter solstice, the sound of a piano floats out of the dock, leisurely like a word, as if telling the story of the windy boy. Postscript. Historians have commented on Yu Chengqian. He entered the civil service at a young age, with a clean and honest character. The highest ideal of a minister was to remain in office. He loved his country as if it were his life, yet he cared little for fame. His ambition is inspiring, his feelings are heartbreaking. People called him Prime Minister Fengji and Jinyu Lady Medical Immortal. Descendants erected a statue in Qingga and inscribed 4 characters on a stone tablet in front of the dock. Do not disappoint the people.